yes, this is, I guess, phase 2 of the access control project. The first phase was Madison and Kern, which Kern's currently being completed. So this is extending that system into Thomas Jefferson and Wilson. Kind of just brief scope. The projects are pretty similar. The main differences is Wilson, we were able to incorporate some of the access control components into the renovation project that's currently going on. So from the access control piece of it, it's just some cabling and the programming. At TJ, there's not a larger project, so there's a little bit more door hardware and infrastructure things that have to happen at TJ. Deadline for the project. Plans are complete, so they, pending approval tonight, would go out to bid tomorrow or out to public tomorrow. The goal would be to have TJ completed by the end of this year, and then Wilson would be completed at the same time as the main renovation project the following summer. Then our project estimate for the overall project is about $280,000. 170 of that is TJ, 75 is Wilson, and then the final programming of the systems to match up with the current school's procedures that we've kind of fine-tuned through the Madison and Kern projects. That's
Okay,
pretty much the project.
thank you for the presentation. Are there any questions from board members at this time?
We're pretty excited about this. It's really part of the master facility plan also. We eventually, we're going to look at coming back to the board with putting together a proposal for all of the other buildings. But right now, we're excited to have all the four buildings with the completion.
Is this project currently in the master plan that we received a few meetings ago? Okay, thank you.
If there are no other questions from the board, is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address the access control for Thomas Jefferson and Wilson at this time? Hearing none, we'll move then next to the second portion of our public hearing, which is regarding the sale of the former Pusey Elementary School. Dr. Murillo, would you or your designee please lead us in this portion?
Mr. Dean Wilson will also lead our portion on the sale of Pusey Elementary in the public hearing.
As Mr. Gazire said, this is the public hearing regarding the Pusey Elementary building sale. The building was closed in 2010, and we've been actively trying to sell it at least the last 5 years. We did receive a couple of verbal offers in the last 6 to 8 months for this property. The first offer was rescinded by the potential buyer because she felt that the cost of renovating it was higher than her budget. But we did receive a second offer, we did receive a written offer, I should say, from the second buyer, which you have in your board docs. The second buyer is Triple Play Holdings, LLC, which is the organization that currently rents a portion of the building in the gymnasium and has done so for the last several years. And they provide batting cage practice and similar other practices for our area youth. Mr. Brett Derrig is here tonight. He is the owner of Triple Play Sports, and he would like to address the board with your permission. So Brett, you want to come on up and speak?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Brett Derrig. I am the owner of Triple Play Sports, and I have been for the last 6 years. We have been leasing from the school district since Dr. Bruckner was the superintendent, and it's just a really great spot for us. We are super proud to buy the building. We think it's a good home for us, and we think it's a good home for our area youth. I take a lot of pride in building kids on and off the field, and we have created a lot of progress in the last 6 years doing that. And we have a lot of good ideas in terms of renovating the interior and exterior of the building to make it aesthetically pleasing for the community. And we would love to continue doing our work with the kids and make sure that they continue to have a safe environment to go and train and become good human beings beyond just their athletic careers. So I'm looking forward to it, and I think that this is a great opportunity for us and you guys to make sure that this can continue to happen. So, and I've worked with a lot of kids from AL, TJ, Lewis Central, St. Albert, surrounding communities. I have kids as far as Harlan, Avoca. I even have kids from Rockport, Missouri that come up and use our facility. So I think it's just a really good thing for the community, and I would love to continue to be a part of that. And I also do have a couple people that I would like to speak on my behalf who I've worked with their kids, and they can firsthand testify to what I've done in terms of providing this atmosphere that I'm talking about here. So,
Okay. Is everybody okay with that? Yeah. Okay,
awesome.
right, sure.
First person that I'm going to have speak is Nicole Uronic. Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Good evening. As Brett said, my name is Nicole Uronic, and I'm an instructor out at Iowa Western. I actually met Brett in one of my classrooms many years ago, and he shared with me then that as a 12-year-old, this was his dream to own a baseball facility in Council Bluffs, to have kids from all areas and all different schools have the opportunity to have a safe place to become better humans and better athletes as well. Both of my kids have done activities in Brett's facilities, and I can tell you Brett is magnetic with young people, and he's able to make things fun that I don't think other people can make fun all the time, but his lessons are really honest and forthright. And so this was not only just a dream of Brett's to own a facility for kids to practice baseball in Council Bluffs, but honestly, this is a dream for young people in our community to become better ball players, but to also take in what kind of great messages Brett has for them to help them grow in our community, giving them a safe place to be.
Good evening. My name is Lonnie Achenbaugh, and my son has been going there since he was 10. He's a freshman now, so he's 14. I have two nephews, one that graduated from AL, and the other one's at AL in middle school right now. They both went to Brett. Nothing negative has ever been said about it. My son has always been positive, loves going to see Brett. He goes and sees him at least twice a week. He's made him a better person. Kind of hard to follow what she said. She did a really good job. So I just know that I see a lot of Lewis Central kids. I was a coach for the Owls, and we had our team go up there for 2 or 3 years, and we had nothing but positive things going on. And I see a lot of AL kids. I don't know a whole lot of TJ kids, but it's just been a pleasant experience up there. Every time we come up, from high schoolers down to 8-year-olds, they all get along. There's nobody rides anybody else in any direction, so it's all positive. I don't know what else to say besides that you can't ask for a whole lot more. So, thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to address the board? Hearing none, we will go ahead and I will go ahead and close this public hearing. And we will now gavel in this regular board meeting for the Council Bluffs Community School District Board of Directors. Mr. Wilson, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Hudak?
Here.
Mr. Minshaw? Present. Mr. LaPerla?
Present.
Mr. Arthur?
Here.
Dr. Ogden?
Present.
Mr. McGrady? Present. Mr. Snyder?
Present. As you are able, please rise with me to observe a moment of silence. Please join with me the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have a motion to approve our agenda?
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, before us is a resolution to approve our agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And the motion to approve our agenda has been approved. Before us now is a resolution to approve our previous board meeting minutes.
I can move to approve the minutes from the work session and workshop business meeting of August 11th, 2020.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, before us is a resolution regarding the approval of our minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And our minutes have been approved. Now is the time for public participation. This is an opportunity for the members of the public to address the board regarding agenda items, or for that matter, any other matters of concern. Is there anyone who wishes to address the board at this time? Seeing no one moving to the podium, we will move forward with our superintendent's report. Dr. Murillo, we look forward to what you have to bring us tonight.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Gozar. We are pretty excited about this being the beginning of a new school year. And at this time, we are going to have Ms. Julie Smith and Mr. Mark Schultz, who are going to come forward and present on our first 2 days of school. So, Ms. Smith, the floor is
Great.
yours.
Mark is getting the presentation up for us. I want to kind of take it back a few weeks. The last time that Mark and I spoke with you was all about the return to operations plan and the return to learn plan. And at that time, it said the real work begins. And I guess we really wanted to start off by telling you all the things that happened well prior to school starting. The work that the principals did, that their building leaderships team did. We just, couldn't be more, we got to admit, we were nervous before school started. Everybody was nervous before school started. And you know what? The first 2 days just went off beautifully. Just can't begin to tell you the good positive feelings in the building, how calm everybody is, and how learning is happening. And it has just been wonderful. So I wanted to preface that before we started on here. So returning to learn the past 2 days. We chose these two pictures up here for a couple of reasons. Rue Elementary, like all the elementaries, have, what are they called, Mark?
Card my yard.
Card my yard signs, and so they're looking great on the outside. But I also wanted you to see something new that's up at AL right now that
That's
just
awesome.
finished. I don't know if you had an opportunity to be up there and see that, but that's their new little plaza right in front of the building. Looks great, and just wanted to give you a preview of that as we were going. So Mark and I have a little story for you tonight as we're looking. It's our elementary sides coming out here. So school is still school, but it's different. So teachers have always taken time to build relationships with kids. What's different about it this year is how they're doing it. So what you're seeing up here, this is Mr. Sherb at Wilson Middle School. And what you see behind him is his flat screen that's on there, and a thing called Padlet. And both kids at home and at on site had an opportunity to combine at the same time, to contribute at the same time to this, and a get to know you type of thing right away the first day. And so he was like, okay, so who knows this? Who can relate to this? And they all had that opportunity, whether they were on site or on home. So that's one way it's kind of different about building relationships. Oh, Mark's going to tell me I forgot to say something. You notice our little friend in the corner there. That's our new owls that they have. So we have a little challenge for you in this presentation. How many owls can you find? Here's another example of how things change a little bit. So this is what, we can't greet with hugs or high fives or handshakes even anymore. So this just happened, we just happened to see this in the hallway of the fist bump between a teacher and a student at Thomas Jefferson. So Mark and I are keeping masks on because we're kind of trading off and on.
Yeah, so the theme of building relationships, Katie at Franklin is working one-on-one with the student to help him get his milk open as he's eating breakfast in the classroom, which is a little bit different. And then you see here, teacher is reading a story about how to be a friend. So still building those relationships, and you can see there's fewer students. A little bit different there than we normally would, but still reading a book to kids.
And they have their masks on.
they have their masks on. So kids have always been excited to be together on the first days of school. And so you can see here a full classroom, and they're spread out. They are very excited. You can't tell they're smiling because they're wearing a mask, but they are very excited to be there. And this is at Longfellow School here. And this was my favorite. I took this one today. I was at Lewis and Clark, and they're just really excited to be together. And the girl in the white said, you know, this is a perfect game for social distance, is Foursquare, because we're all apart. So she was very excited for that.
So one of the things I thought this was kind of fun too, this was at Abraham Lincoln. And you can see the kids in there, and you can also see the fake people in there that the teacher put in so kids would social distance. But one of my favorites in there is Abe Lincoln. And Abe is saying, every day is a great day to wear a mask. So, kids have always had breakfast and lunch at school. That's not really different. We're still serving breakfast and lunch. But here's a picture of Thomas Jefferson's cafeteria right now. And one of the things you're going to notice is we have two to a table. This is one of 6 lunch periods that went on today. Lots of space, lots of social distancing that's going on. Today, kids signed up. You see the paper on the table, so they reserved their table for the next thing. So these are beginning the tables that they're going to sit at every time. Both high schools are doing that. Another thing that's different, this is from yesterday, is part of the grab-and-go lunch that we're doing on Mondays at the middle school and high school when they leave. And so kids are, as you can see again, spaced out, have masks, grabbing and going lunches before they leave.
And here's a picture of elementary. It's grab and go also, but we deliver them to the classrooms in totes. And these students are getting ready to eat lunch or breakfast in the classroom, which is different than we used to go down to the cafeteria. And you can see only 2 per table here. And here's a picture of what it looks like to eat lunch in the cafeteria. We've got some strategies to keep students safe and keep them apart, and where they also have a nice mask break so they can eat their lunch there. So teachers have always taught routines and procedures on the first days of school. And so now, instead of teaching the traditional things, they're adding things like, how do you stay 6 feet apart to stay safe? And why do we stay 6 feet apart? And you can see the teacher here, Rochelle at Bloomer, is using a rope that has tape every 6 feet so students can really understand. And she's got first graders that she's working with here, so they're going to understand what that feels like to be 6 feet apart throughout the school. Thought that was a neat idea they did. And then at College View, we have a lot of buses, and we have to organize our students. So the teachers here are teaching students how to safely wait and stand on different colored markings on the playground and waiting to get on the bus. So a new procedure for them that they hadn't done in the past.
So some of the other procedures at the high school, this is a little bit hard to see in here, but what's on the screen there is teaching procedures about how to connect to Google Classroom, how you're going to do some things, whether you're in class or at home, the steps that you would go through to make sure that you're on and doing the right thing. So those also are being taught. And this is at Wilson at Madison campus, and these kids were going on how do we navigate the school type of tour that day. And so they were learning what the one-way hallways were, where everything was in there and how to navigate that. And again, masks on, far apart. That was a pretty consistent theme in the last 2 days. So kids have always moved around the building for different reasons, right? To go to different classes. That hasn't changed, but what is different, now we're trying to do, one of the biggest fears, I think, was what's happening at the high school during passing periods. I wished I had a picture to show you what normal was like, because this is far from normal. Especially in this area where it used to just be, like where kids tend to typically gather. They're really doing a great job of keeping them going. You can kind of notice some of the things over in the far right-hand corner. That blue pole that's there is actually a chain that goes all the way across the commons to help with directionality. And they're much more spread apart, again, with masks on. Our passing periods are under 4 minutes, so they're in and through there very quickly, but it's a big difference, and you're going to see this very much the same at Thomas Jefferson. Again, in the Commons area, where a lot of times it was really easy and kids would gather, you're seeing the constant flow and motion, and that was like at peak time during the traveling thing, so.
Okay, Julia, it's the mask.
I know.
So another picture moving around the school here. I love this picture. This is at Hoover, and students are going to lunch, and they are practicing in the hallway spacing. And I love this picture, too. The custodian did such an amazing job preparing that hallway. It's beautiful. And at Roosevelt, this is at arrival today, where students were spaced out. They met their teacher, and they walked into the school together to have their breakfast. So we know that we're in business so students can learn, right? So kids have always learned at school, and they're learning some new things. This is an art teacher at Rue Elementary School that is teaching her students how to get onto Google Classroom and how to connect with students at home. And this teacher, kindergarten teacher at Lewis and Clark, is talking with students on her screen that are remote. And this was yesterday on the first day of school. And she's connecting them with the students that are on site. So she's doing a little blended teaching right there.
So you're going to see much the same thing at secondary, some very familiar things. Kids are in familiar settings, but they're spread out, but they're also learning on site. Here's an interesting one. This is the band at Kern. And I think one of the real challenges was, how do we do band with some of the kids at home and some of the kids on site? And our band teachers are doing a great job figuring this out. It was kind of fun to be in there at that time because Mr. Nansen was trying to do some stuff. He's like, hey, can you hear this at home? And I heard this ding, ding, can you hear this at home? And they, so they're really trying to find ways, but it's another good example of how kids are learning in both ways, even in some challenging kinds of content. The last one we're talking about real is teachers have always known how to teach kids. They really have. It's been a challenge though this year because they've had to do some things differently. So this is an OWL setup. This is one way an OWL setup is. This is in Mr. Plummer's class at Kern. And it allows him the ability to stand as a teacher this way and look at his screen while the OWL is capturing everything that's going on with that. Another way that looks at Mr. Fetch's class at Wilson is this just shows a nice picture of he is looking at the screen and monitoring some things that kids are doing on screen while the kids are looking at each other on the screen as well. And so this is new. This is a brand new thing. I just really commend our teachers because they've had to learn this in a fairly short amount of time, and all the prep before kids get there doesn't really, really get you there when the kids walk in the door and you're doing this. And they've done just a fantastic job with the things that they're doing.
And here's a picture at Edison where the teacher is holding a whole class meeting with students at home and with students at school. So that remote and on site. It's the longest court adversity of my life. Oh, we got it. And our final picture here to show you is Rue Elementary, and these are first graders. I want to play a little clip for you.
Isaiah, can you wave at us? There he is. And we have Lucy. Can you wave at us, Lucy? Oh, there's Lucy.
So these students are meeting, some students for the first time virtually, and the teacher is really bringing them all together. So we wanted to show you what that looked like. So you know what? School is still school. It's just a little different this year. So how many OWL cameras did you count?
7, 8.
Is there 11?
7 or 8. One might have been a water bottle.
I'm going to tell you, Mark didn't get it right the first time either, so.
Yeah. The answer is 11.
11.
11. So.
Yeah. But it's kind of good because they're really kind of not, they're harder to see, and that's a good thing,
Yeah.
right?
You bet. So do you have any questions for us about our first days? And we intentionally said days because we feel like there was a first day of school twice today. So we got our groups 1 and groups 2 in.
Any questions from the board?
I had some questions. So I guess a couple things. So on the first front, on the disinfecting side, if there's new electrostatic sprayers, how's that working for our janitorial staff and our teachers?
Awesome. So when you walk into any school, they're very visible to see in classrooms and doing things. I will say they shoot out quite a bit. You are scrubbing up once you get them. They're in every area that you go in. They're just really everywhere. Plus, you'll also see, the thing I noticed was teachers having hand sanitizers as kids walk in and just give them in a squirt as they're walking in. Again, just very visible with what they're doing. So yeah, that was nice to see.
Yeah, then they look nice. The mobile hand sanitizers that Julie's speaking about, they look nice, like something you'd want to walk up and use. They don't look old, they look new, they look modern. But our electric sprayers, we're using them every evening as part of the cleaning, that process that we're going through. And I really feel like the facility staff has really done a good job of organizing, and the training that our custodial staff received on those. We spent almost a half a day working with someone from that company that came in and personally did the training for us. So feel really good about that.
Okay, lunch periods, we've had to extend our lunch periods out to try to formulate this. How are these working? I know some schools have some pretty late lunch periods.
It's really nice. So what the high schools did, previous to this year, they had their advisement at one set time throughout the day. And it was just advisement, anything else. And then lunch was extended in fourth period. They made it long so they could get 3 periods of lunch in within fourth period. What they've done this year is they've combined advisement and lunch. And so that's in periods 4, 5, and 6. And so in each advisement, in each period, there's 2 sections of lunch that go down. And so really, it's not extended too terribly long. It is longer than it was before. The upside is it doesn't interrupt any classes, because it could have been last year I started 4th hour, then I went to lunch, then I came back and finished 4th hour. And now, because it's with advisement, it's just half the time is advisement, the other half is lunch. And it really worked very smoothly at both high schools today.
I just know we have some kids that go at 7, and I've heard there's some kids eating them at 1.
Right.
I'm like, that's a...
Yeah, at the middle schools, they are doing some pretty quick, the lunchtime is a pretty quick turnaround. They are able to get more kids in, like, for example, at Wilson, because we have both the gym and the cafeteria right there.
Sure.
And they have it kind of on a rotating thing that they get out of the gym first so they can clean it and do some things with that. So it's really not too bad. I know today we forgot to change the lunch schedules by 4 minutes, and so they were extended a little bit longer than they're supposed to be. That'll be fixed by tomorrow. So.
And then I guess my last question would be on, this was on Thursday, I guess it was back to school night. I know that there were some teachers still were struggling with maybe not so much connectivity, but it was more on how they were going to show things, because they had kind of had old laptops, didn't have the ones with the Padlets or whatever. Have we addressed that with all of our teachers that need that? What's the ETA if we haven't?
Right. Yes, it's in the, I should probably let John speak to this. We are getting some things with some of our older Chromes, like their little, what are they called? Splitter, something like that. That he's ordering some of that. He's working with the high school principals to make sure those that have the Chromes that don't have enough plug-ins are able to do that. Part of it is a learning curve about, you even saw in our things, some teachers had it just right here, some had it up, some it's a comfort level right now. And it's practice. The first 2 days is a lot of practice. Monday after school for PD was really around, it really wasn't our typical professional development for teachers. It was really more around what concerns do you have, what are we troubleshooting, how can we get people in here. Devin Schoning's done a great job of going out and showing teachers and helping and sending out videos. And he has, he's just sending stuff daily for help for teachers with doing some things. And so what we're seeing right now is a wide range, and that's what it will be for a while, but we're going to continue. Remember, our whole first quarter around school improvement is focused on making teachers comfortable and able to do the things they need to do both ways. So that is our focus.
And I'm assuming then if we have teachers who are, they're not voicing the issue they're having, that's kind of on them. I just had talked to one who was really struggling with how to even present the whiteboard. because the glare was so bad in the room. You know, it's just like the writing just didn't come through on the pad, you know. And I think they were gonna reach out and see if they could just get a different device to work with, but.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, John Stile can speak to this much better than we can, but they've been like round the clock working on stuff with people, very, very customer friendly and getting right there as soon as they can, so that's been, I mean, you know, it's not without glitches, we would never, it ran beautifully, don't get me wrong, but there are glitches, and, you know, and sometimes it lags a little bit, and we're working through that, but, you know, there's just constant response and, you know, going as well as it can be going.
Very good. All right, thank you.
Yeah, and I'd just like to add too that we're very proud of our principals for really leading and implementing that return to learn plan and operations, the manual, and teachers really just, we couldn't do it without such great staff, so really proud of it.
I have two quick questions. So the pictures are awesome. I know, you know, everything's kicking off. There's a little bit of learning there. With the pickup and drop off though, can you talk about how that went, what the plan is for, you know, if we have bad weather, for, you know, making sure that we still stay spaced out and things of that nature?
Yeah, and when I went out the last week to meet with principals, I said, so it's pouring down rain, it's the first day of school, what are you gonna do? And typically, students aren't released from the cars until 8:45 is when our elementary buildings are opened up, and they would move inside, and they have their hallways mapped out and their gymnasiums, so they can do it that way too. And our buses are arriving just before 8:45, so students can, timing's very nice, so we don't anticipate kids being out during harmful weather.
And then I know it's only day two, but have we received any feedback from the parents who were at home, you know, either the first day or today, issues connectivity and, you know, I know, you know, some parents would have some hard time tackling that technology and how we're going about helping those parents as well.
Right, I mean, the buildings are fielding calls on my kid, you know, and they're troubleshooting right with parents, they're walking them through, they're getting them what they need to do with that on that end. We did get a really nice email from a parent that just was saying, I just can't believe how well organized this was. My kids are in virtual academy. It has been fantastic. I know it was a lot of work. So, you know, I think there's a gamut that goes there. But I do know that with the buildings have been super responsive to getting parents what they need when they're stuck or when the kids are stuck with doing that, so.
And so to piggyback on some of that, I know I spoke with John about the help desk and how many calls that they were fielding and working through. I also know that in the buildings I was in, that the volume of calls really decreased today from day one to this day. That's why it was so important that we had face-to-face time with students, because our teachers are going to be able to really help our students really understand. In one class that I was in today at Rue, and I believe it is a third grade classroom, they were even teaching the students how to sign into their special classes when they're not at school on their day that they're remote. And I thought that was wonderful to see them walk them through art, music, PE. Here's where you find your videos. Here's what you're supposed to do. So it is going to take some time, but our first day, I talked to one teacher also that said, I sent out an email last night to my parents saying, don't sign in right at 9 o'clock because I'm still bringing kids up from the bus so give me time to get in and sign in. And she said, I think it's just going to take some time to get into the rhythm. And everybody is kind of anxious about how this works, but we're also really, really proud of how well we're doing. And as a board and as a school district and as a superintendent, I couldn't ask for a better first 2 days of school than what I've seen. And to see our teachers embrace this and really go to work, and to see our principals take ownership of this return to learn, and to watch my cabinet really lead this work. It's amazing that we are as far as we are. And we do this because they're our kids. They're our students. And really, really proud of that. So we'll continue every day to really answer those questions that parents have and try to just continue to get back to them as soon as possible and continue to work through that.
You should be proud. You guys have been working very diligently hard over the last 3 months, I would say, or longer.
End of March.
To prepare for this day and for it to be seamless and going well, you should be very proud of what you've done, so.
My experience as a parent and a board member has been kind of funny because my kids, like most kids, just absolutely love school. They're just nothing but excited about getting back to school, completely oblivious that all the adults around them are stressed and anxious about. And, you know, one of the things that I noticed yesterday and today with the parents and teachers that I've talked to is that they were very anxious before, and now they're starting, okay, we can do this, like,
Right.
you know, starting to, you get a little experience, and, you know, we've got some things we've got to work through, but their anxiety levels are coming down. Are you getting that feeling, you know, across the board in schools, or generally speaking, in the buildings you visited?
Yeah, Julie and I went to all of our buildings both days, and day 2 was like so much more relaxed. Because, and yesterday, principals during their PD, so many of them led and they just said, oh my gosh, congratulations, you did it. You taught in a hybrid. No one else has ever done this. And so they celebrated that and they're like, oh my gosh, we did. You know, they talked about what went well, and shared those positive things. And then any of the hiccups, you know, if I had an issue, Jill, how did you handle that? Well, it worked for me. So they were just sharing how they overcame those things. And so day 2, it's like, we got this. It was really a big change. Felt good.
In my experience as a board member, this district is not a district that meets expectations and has that mentality to do that. It's always above expectations or exceeds expectations. And that's the mentality of the workflow, and that's why things are always so successful.
So for people at home, do you want to share the number of students that are, I think Corey shared earlier with us, that are in the virtual, number of kids that are maybe are at home on any given day versus our schools percentage-wise? I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Testing my memory right now.
Ooh, 11
I think
owls.
it's about 800 kids at the secondary that are at virtual, over 800 kids at the secondary that are taking virtual academy classes with doing this. So it's about the same. It's about split even with elementary and secondary, the number of kids going in there. So
We've got over 1,600 in
yeah,
our virtual
so it's about
academy.
800, over 800 in each level. So it's quite a bit. It's quite a noticeable difference. Even if you look at the parking lots, like at our high schools,
Oh,
you
yeah.
drive by and you're like, wow, there's parking. You know?
Yeah, and less accidents.
You can really notice the difference in the buildings, and I think that helps, and I think that has just been very helpful with this start back when people are nervous and everything that we're looking at. Just to have fewer kids and to, you know, be able to feel safe and be around and do that. I think that's been incredible. I can't imagine what it would have been like had we started with everybody in. We would not have the same feeling. So we're very thankful that we were able to start this way. And it's calm in the buildings. I don't know how else to, it's just calm when you go in. So it's very nice.
Can you remind us again then how many students on average are in an elementary classroom, in a middle school classroom, and then finally in the high school classrooms?
Yeah, you bet. About 9 is our average in elementary, about 9 students on site every day.
Our average so averages are deceptive a little bit. Our average at middle school is 10 or 11 with right now going in. But you're going to see a range. You know, you walk in sometimes and it's 5, and you walk in sometimes it's 13, just because of how the schedules and the names had gone. High school, very similar. I walked into classrooms where this time that it was probably 12 or 13 kids in a classroom, and then also classrooms that are much smaller than that too. So just kind of depends with that. But overall, you just really notice a decrease in size when you walk into any of the rooms.
They're able to maintain their distances.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you know, the kids have been really great even about wearing masks in the classroom. You know, you don't really walk in and see masks off right now. You know, I think teachers are trying to break in some breaks, saying if you are 6 feet, you know, there's one of the drama rooms that I walked in, and they're taped off so they know they're 6 feet away, and they're saying, okay, you can take it off in here, but kids have done a great job. You see some nose slippage, you know, you do see that sometimes, but you know, I just can't commend the kids enough too on how they're trying to keep other people safe and keep themselves safe, and it's just, you know, they're
Great.
That's why I just can't think we can stress enough the public how well, I think how prepared we tried to be for this. You know, and how much effort you guys put into it, so we would have really a limited number of students at any time in any class. Be able to socially distance. When you walk the halls, there's hardly anybody there. It's crazy. You know, and even talking to my own son, he's like, I think my largest class has 8 kids, you know, right now, versus probably in the past would have been 25 or something, you know, so it's amazing how that's swung. So I think the community should know that we're trying everything we can, you know, to keep kids safe, but also to keep educating. So it's a great job.
Anything else from board members? Thank you so very much for the presentation.
It's one of our favorites every year.
Yes, very much so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes.
That concludes our presentation this evening.
And that moves us right along to our resolutions. First before us is the resolution to approve the sale of the former Pusey Elementary School. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve the sale of the former Pusey Elementary Building to Triple Play Holdings LLC in the amount of $75,000.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I just would echo what you said, that I've heard nothing but great things. But I know personally that.
My nephew's taken lessons from Brett, doing very well, now in Georgia, but nothing but positive things to say about Mr. Derrick.
Yeah, I think it's great that we have businesses like this that are giving our kids an opportunity, a place to go, stay local, and have a safe place to go. So appreciate everything that you do for our kids and our community.
There's no further discussion. Before us now is a resolution to approve the sale of the former Pusey Elementary School. Mr. Wilson, would you please call the roll and be aware that the online vote casting is on the screen.
Dr. Ogres?
Yes.
Mr. Newton?
Yes.
Mr. McGlade? Yes. Mr. LaFurla?
Yes.
Mr. Arthur?
Yes.
Ms. Shudak?
Yes.
Mr. Capani?
Yes. And the motion has been approved. Before us now is an agreement with Meyer Building Solutions. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve the agreement with Meyer Building Solutions LLC for the period of September 1st, 2020 through August 31st, 2021.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I know that Myers has been doing our last few projects. Did we look to get any other types of bids or a PM, or just that we want to continue?
No, I did not look to get any other bids, just continue the work since he had been with us from the beginning of the middle school work, to continue through that and finish the project with us.
And I know that these types of project management agreements can be much, much more costly than these. My brother-in-law worked for a firm, and, you know, when you talk about a percentage or two of the overall project cost, you know, that's considerably higher than this.
I guess I'm impressed the more I deal with Darryl, when he'll be at a building late at night and doing something, and there'll be people there. He just come in and make sure it's working well. You know, and seeing how people are taking it in, I mean, it's just, I can see that he's at least committed to kind of our passion for our kids, if nothing else, so.
And Ms. Shudak, we did bid it out at the beginning. We did have other bids when we started the project for Madison Campus, Kern, and Wilson. So I wanted to make sure that I pointed that out.
There's no further discussion. Before us now is a motion to approve the sale or an agreement with Meyer Building Solution. Mr. Wilson, would you please call the roll?
Mr. LaFurla?
Yes.
Mr. Arthur?
Yes.
Dr. Ogres?
Yes.
Mr. Newton?
Yes.
Mr. McGlade? Yes. Ms. Shudak?
Yes.
And Mr. Capani?
Yes, and the resolution has been approved. Before us now is our consent agenda, which includes an approval of the memorandum of understanding with the YMCA, with the school-based therapist, with school resource officers, with the Underwood Public Schools, and also with students placed outside of our district, one being at the Utah Holly Academy, and then also at the Alpha School. We have personnel actions and claims and accounts. Do we have a motion?
Yeah, I can move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
And who did the claims and accounts this time? Chris, all look good?
July's a good month to get on the schedule for this.
Yes.
There's not much activity in
Short
July
one.
compared to the rest of the year.
Huh, I wonder how that happened.
Very good.
I didn't see any boat payments or green
We
skis.
don't have a fishing boat?
Nope.
I remember when I did a sports physical for a kid, and I said, what sport are you going out for? He goes, fishing.
Oh,
Okay.
Dean's taking me.
Okay.
Alrighty.
There's no further discussion. Before us now is a resolution to approve the consent agenda. Mr. Wilson, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Arthur.
Yes.
Ms. Hudak.
Yes.
Mr. LaFurla.
Yes.
Mr. McGlade. Yes. Mr. Mintz. Yes. Dr. Aldrich.
Yes.
Mr. Kaiser.
Yes. And the resolution has been approved. With that, we have completed our business, and our work is adjourned.
All right, Joe.